You know, people have lots of different ideas about what the nature of humanity is. If you go to Richard Dawkins, for example, you'll find out from Richard Dawkins that he thinks that humans are a biological machine. It's genes, it's DNA, it's hormones. Not really that much you can do about it. And to be honest, there's not a whole lot of free will in it either. In contrast to that, God makes it really clear in the Bible that you and I are essentially, at the core of our being, we're relational creatures. You see, He's made us to be able to relate to Him and to relate to other people. In fact, we do that all the time. We're always operating relationally. You know, the Psalms talk about waiting upon God. You know, there's a fascinating thing about waiting. A lot of people, when they're waiting upon God, they're just kind of going, oh, what do I do now? What am I supposed to do when I'm waiting? What if the thing that I'm waiting for doesn't happen? What if God does something else? You know, all of those kind of comments and those thoughts, man, I've had a lot of those before. You know what they're saying? They're not coming out of a relational base as much as they're coming out of an objective or a task-oriented base. Take, for example, my sons. I've got 4 sons, and they do things and they sin against each other. You know, the interesting thing about when they sin against each other is I've taught them, you need to go to your brother, you need to say sorry and ask them to forgive you. You know, sometimes some of them are so offended by their brother that when their brother comes up and says sorry and asks for forgiveness, they say, no, I won't forgive you. And do you know at that particular moment, you know what that brother has to do who's offended the other one? He's got to wait. Who knows how long it'll be? It could be a good while. It could be a few days. Now, I've taught my sons it's a good thing to forgive each other. It's really important, but there's a part of relationships that is about waiting. I mean, anyone who's married actually knows that. You know, there's times where you move on a little bit and maybe you're waiting for your wife or your husband to kind of catch up. It's like, I'd like to move on in this area. Well, you're doing a relationship, which means that there's going to have to be times where you're waiting. There's other times where they've moved on ahead of you and they're wanting to move on and they're wanting you to be up to speed, but you're not there. And it takes a little while for you to catch up. You see, waiting is an intensely relational activity. See, God's not just interested in the starting point and the end point with us. He wants us to walk with Him and talk with Him the whole way through, from the beginning to the end. And you know, the objective is not actually getting to the end. The objective is doing friendship. It's doing relationship with the one that loves and cares for you so deeply.